So actually, once you begin to break curses, things don't necessarily get easier. They get more complicated. Once you begin to break curses, that's when the real opposition and spiritual war starts. One of the major ways that I will see this spiritual retaliation for your awakening, for you beginning to walk more in your divine power and on your divine path, is that someone or something will be sent in to distract you, to destroy you. And very usually, it is going to be someone coming in as a romantic partner, a spiritual mentor, or a close friend. I have done many readings and I will track their spiritual problems back to a romantic partner, back to a spiritual mentor that they have worked with. So once you start closing doors to entities and to strongholds, then they want to send in infiltrators, people and situations that act as open doors for these spiritual forces to be able to re-enter your life and influence you in the same ways again. And everybody knows about monitoring spirits, right? But I see less people talking about handler spirits. And handler spirits are just people who are sent into your life for the sole purpose of getting close to you and limiting your spiritual path and spiritual progress. And so this can look a lot of ways. This can look like a romantic partner coming in and suddenly you are so focused on them that you're less interested in your spiritual development. This can look like having a romantic partner who may not believe in spirituality in the way that you believe in spirituality. And so you have to compromise certain elements of your spiritual practice and journey in order to please, appease, or keep that person. People can also come into your life as spiritual mentors. We link up with them and we think that they are going to advance our spiritual practice. That's what I see a lot as well in my readings, where somebody will awaken to spirituality, get a mentor who they think is for them, only to find out that that mentor has been literally limiting them or misguiding them or stealing their energy in various ways. And so a lot of these false spiritual mentors really just be handler spirits who are literally meant to distract you and create pitfalls for you on your spiritual walk. And so it's important for us to know that handler spirits can be bosses, they can be family, they can be lovers. A handler spirit is just anybody or anything that is meant to keep you bind to lower vibrations and lower timelines. Another thing I'll also see once someone is on a path of breaking curses is that old habits will try to creep back up and return in order to keep that person in lower vibrations and lower timelines. And so during your spiritual walk, whenever you start to notice yourself doing things you haven't done in a long time, especially if those things are not positive things, like you pick back up some type of bad habit on your spiritual walk, like know that that is a sign of spiritual opposition. That is something, that is an energy that wants to root you back into a past timeline. Because the ultimate sort of goal of these entities, these spirits, these sorcerers, whoever has been benefiting from our spiritual ignorance or feeding off of our energy, their ultimate goal is to just keep us in a place where we can be fed off. And so the last thing that I'll talk about that I also see when someone begins to break curses is that they may lose a lot of things. They may lose friends, they may lose, homes, cars, possessions. And a lot of the times, the reason why those things will go, the reason why those things will be lost is because the enemy, the spiritual opposition, ultimately wants you to regret. They want you to regret your spiritual walk. They want you to regret your spiritual path. They want you to regret your awakening. They ultimately want you to long for the past. They want you to want your old life again. And so it will be this kind of traumatic sense of loss and just destruction in your life that makes you long and nostalgic for a previous time, a time before you awakened. And so I just wanted to make this video so that we can watch out for these kind of spiritual traps, because spiritual traps will arise, right? When we are beginning to break curses. When we are beginning to break curses, these entities are going to want a way back in. So just keeping our eyes open, our minds sharp during this journey. And I'm wishing everybody peace and bliss. I am here for people who need readings, who need one on one assistance. I am here for people who want further teachings, which are available on the Patreon. So, hopefully, through a reading, through the Patreon or the YouTube, you will find the spiritual guidance that you seek. Ashe.